Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Sean Manley with Manly Made Minute, and today for my very first YouTube video, I'm making a card for you all. We're going to do a little easy shutter card, or other people call it a fractured card. So I am super excited to get started and really thrilled to be able to show my content to you. So stick around and we'll get started. All right, welcome back everyone. I have turned to my overhead camera so that you guys can see everything that I'm going to do here today. This is the card that I want to make today. I did some practice with some watercolor. This is the fractured card, or the shutter card that you see really popular right now. I decided to do a little watercolor design in here. I have been searching on Pinterest, and I've noticed even on Pinterest and Etsy, they have these little mini paintings that you can buy now, literally like 2x2, 3x3. And I thought, I want to replicate that idea of this painting kind of look on this little tiny middle piece. So we're going to do some watercoloring with some embossing, and then using some designer paper around the back. Where I came up with what I wanted to do is I have the Recollections paper pack, and this one is like a floral design. It's called Florals. Inside you can see it's got some really great designs for floral, and there is a couple in here. Here's one of them. They kind of have this watercolor kind of design on them. Here's another one, a little bit more subtle. And then there's one in here. This one here has, if you look at the roses, some of these have a little bit more darker where it softens out. I didn't want to do like a watercolor wash. I wanted to have some highlighted darker areas to kind of pronounce the shape of the flower. And you can kind of see what I did here with just these little sharper points. That's what I want to replicate using from the paper to this design. So what I'm using today, I have the one of the newer Gina K Designs Speak Beautiful Things stamp kit. We're going to use this flower here, just kind of a portion of it on that little 2x2 piece, and do some watercolor with it. Also love this pack. I've been wanting to do kind of some painting splashes of some sort for some background, so that's what, gravitated towards this stamp kit when I got it, and then realized that I really liked these flowers, so I could do something with the flowers first. So that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to use some watercolor paper. I haven't done hardly any watercoloring ever. And so I'm just playing with this to see, because I really like the designs when I see people do them. So this is my first time investing in some watercolor paper. I have the Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor Cardstock. These papers come with two textures to them. One side has more of a rougher kind of texture, and the other side is smooth. You can use both sides to these. I just like texture, so I'm going to use the kind of the textured side with this when we do some watercoloring. Then I'm just using standard black cardstock for the mat and for the pieces. So for this card, you're going to need, I'm doing a square card, so I'm doing a 5x5 card base, Neenah Classic Crest 110 pound. Then you're going to need your designer paper piece. I've already cut these out, pre-cut them, because I figured we all know how to cut cards and measure and things. So this piece here is going to be, let's see, I think this one is going to be 4 3/4. No, excuse me, this mat is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. This is 5.5 by 5.5. That'll place over my mat, going on a 5x5 square card. All right, so let's get started. I have cut out two pieces, just in case we make a mistake or I don't like how it turned out, of that Tim Holtz watercolor paper out of this card pack. So these are just 2x2 pieces off of that cardstock. You can do whatever size you want on this card. You can place it in the middle, to the side, wherever you want to place it. I decided to offset so I could put my sentiment in there and just have a better balance on my card. But you do you. You can do whatever you want on this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp this with the Versamark ink. And then I'm going to use gold embossing powder. This is by Ranger ink. Super fine because of the detail on this, and it's just a really fine line. I'm using the super fine. So let's start there. I'm using my Misty tool just to make this easy, especially since this is my first video. I have already preset my pieces in here. So this is my flower. Again, I'm using this flower from the Gina K Design Speak Beautiful Things stamp pack. I've already preset that in here. I've used a sentiment from that same stamp kit. It says, live every day with intention. You can use whatever. This would be a great happy birthday card. This would be a great get well card, a great just a note or hello card, whatever you want to use it for. I just thought I'm going to stick with the same stamp kit because it's new and I thought I want to try it. That's preset in here as well. All right. So let's set our 2x2 piece rough side up on this piece right in the corner. And as you can see, when I lay this down, it's just going to be like a little corner piece, and I want it to go off the paper. I just kind of want it to kind of blend onto the paper. So I did an offset off the paper and left a little bit of white on the corner there. So we'll just stamp this up. I'm just going to kind of stamp that side where that watermark's going to go. And I juiced this up beforehand. It was, just to have it pretty juicy. All right. Stamp that down, just give it a little bit of pressure. And I'm just going to give you all a disclaimer. This may not be the most perfect card. This is my first video, and I tried to do something simple just to kind of show you process, get everybody grooving on my channel. And so I thought I'm not going to overcomplicate this and make this too hard, especially on myself. But I also see a lot of, when I watch other people's videos, I see a lot of people commenting on, I'm newer, what can I do? How do I do this? And I thought this speaks to me. I've been doing this a couple years, but I like easy and not overcomplicated. I'm just putting that back in the corner nice and tight and doing this again, just to make sure I get some good coverage on that. Peel that off, and that looks really nice. Oh, I apologize. I did put a little bit of powder on this before we started as well, just that embossing powder to help with static. All right. Again, this is just a little piece of scratch paper or construction paper I use. I use yellow when I do anything colored, and then I use a white one when I use white embossing powder or clear so that it doesn't mix, because there's always usually some little residue left or something, and I just keep them separate. Dump that on and just let that sit for a second. I always let mine sit. I don't know. I feel like if I let it sit, it soaks up some of the powder a little bit better. Shake that off. A little tap on the back to kind of shake some of that off. Got one little couple sticky spots here, so just lightly brush. Oh, that's actually my fingerprint too. Brush that off. So a little bit more on that little piece I hit with the brush there. All right, again, not perfect, but you know what? I just love doing it, so. I thank you all for watching. I just get so inspired by everybody else when I watch. I'm like, I gotta do this. Friends of mine were like, you need to start doing this and showing your cards. I just was doing it for fun and giving them away, and thought, let's just take a stab at this. I'm sure some people would look at my generic setup and kind of laugh, but you know what? It's a start, right? All right. All right, let's throw some heat on that, and we'll get some watercoloring done. Now, my little surprise on this, like I said before, I am not a watercolor I have never watercolored, and I have had a set of Crayola water markers for a very long time, and I thought, I'm going to do this. Googled it, watched a few other people do it. I just wanted to do a little darker edges and things versus a wash, so that's kind of the take I'm taking on this. So I'm going to heat this up. Give me 1 second. It's going to be a little loud. Keep that heat kind of even as you do this. It just kind of keeps that paper from curling and burning the paper. I have mine on high. Very rarely do I use low, but I do sometimes if it's just really small and I don't want to burn it too quick. Just give that a good heat up and you'll see it start changing until you're nice and good and set. All right, so there's our flower. All right, to watercolor this, and I'm sorry, my camera should probably be a little closer. I just have my little jar of water, a little glass of water. These bowls, you guys, I got from my friend Kirsten, ex-coworker of mine. She's a potter. I reached out to her to make me some little things for my crafting tables. So she made me a colorful set of these, and they are just, I love them. I absolutely love them. I will put her Instagram account on the links below in the comments. So that if you want to reach out to her, she'll do custom work. She does custom orders, but I'm telling you, they turned out so cute. I just love them. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Here's my Crayola markers. These are watercolor markers. These do not have names on them. So what I picked is I picked a really dark brown. It's almost black. It looks black in the camera, but it's a dark brown, a dark to medium brown, a pink, and it's this kind of a bluish gray. It's got a little gray in it, and I just wanted to do another layer on there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start with my pink first, and I am not going to do the typical where you can put it on. I have a glass mat. I have the Tim Holtz Tonic Studios glass mat. You can put it on here, and you can do like watercolor. Dip your water. Pick this up and brush. I'm not going to do that technique. What I'm going to do is I'm going to color this in, but not completely. I'm going to trace around the edges, give it some little pink kind of at the base, blend that out. Might do it 1 or 2 times if I need to, and then add the blue for another layer. So give it, and this is your artistic interpretation, right? Do what you want. I like to usually go up one edge, and I'm not putting a ton of pressure with my marker. I'm barely touching the paper with a very light hand. So I'm almost doing some, like, how you do Copic coloring with markers and you trace the edges and stuff first. I'm using that same kind of concept as I trace inside the gold embossing. And just go around each leaf and kind of trace that out. And give it some kind of accents. Sometimes some spots more. Just, again, your interpretation of what you want to do. All right. Now, what I do is to start. I take my brush. I have super cheap brushes. I think I got these at Michael's Craft for a couple bucks. They're not expensive artist brushes. Dip in the water. I'm not going to put a ton of water on this to start so I can see how this blends out. I'm not wetting my paper and starting there first. I am using this to almost like a paint by number with those colored pieces. So very lightly, I'm just getting some water in there, and I just try to blend as if it's a Copic marker. Blend the hard line, but I want to leave a little bit of a line. Have a piece of paper towel handy because you may need in some spots just to dab up a little bit. I did a little bit just because it gets it back to some white pieces in there. Again, I'm dipping, but I'm taking almost all that water off at first. And I'm just, if you grew up with those color books that had the pre-watercolors in there, and you would almost paint it to blend it out. I'm probably aging myself by saying this. This is kind of what I wanted to mimic, is those old, the kiddie watercolor books. I don't even know if they still make them. I'm sure they do. You can probably find them somewhere. Again, if it's not blended out a whole ton, if you want to blend it out more, or if you want to leave that dark edge, leave the dark edge. This is just what you want to do and the look that you want, right? How soft of a look do you want? But I will tell you, when I started testing this, I was like, I was just shocked at how well these markers blend out. And honestly, like, again, I think maybe this is probably the second or third time I've watercolored in my life. This is so easy. I am telling you, like, if I can do this, anybody can. And it just blends it out. And it looks to me like you know what you're doing, right? And the purpose of me was just I wanted to try something different, but at the same time make it easy. A little too much water on this one, so I'm going to dab that off. If you go back down to white, that's fine. You might even like that after you dab that off. I'm going to give that just a little bit of extra color right through there. These little ones, I'm just barely tapping them and blending them out. And bring that out. So again, just have fun, like, make it easy. And you know, as you watch some of my stuff, or if you've noticed some of my stuff that I've been posting on Instagram and stuff, I like to recycle. I save every scrap because I feel like, I know some people are like, don't waste your time, and you know, it's no need, but I do. I use scraps and these little pieces for this stuff. And all right, I'm kind of happy with where this pink is, to be honest. So that's kind of what I've got with the pink. You can stop there. Add the middle if you want. Leave the middle white. You can stop there if this is what you want, right? I want a little extra dimension and color, so I'm going to give this just a little dry because I'm going to do the same thing with the other color. So just dry this a tiny bit so that when I draw on here, it doesn't start to bleed out already. Just a quick dry, like not too much. Now I'm going to take my gray blue. It's kind of right in the middle of gray blue. I'm going to do the same thing, but here I just want to do it. I'm just giving it little flicks down here at the bottom. Just some more than others, just depending on, you know, again, do your thing, but just give it a little bit because I want a little ombre-ish kind of going from the bottom up to the top edge there. So I'm just really not spending, I'm not too worried how this like looks at this point, because I'm going to throw a little water on that and just barely tap that out. Again, dab, take almost all that water off and barely touch and pull that out just to soften it out like it's a Copic marker. And if you want to leave it where there's a little more striped lines, leave it where there's a little more striped lines. So feel free to comment if any of you have done this before or have liked it or don't like it. I'd love to hear comments of just, you know, what you think. If you've got these markers laying around and you've been wanting to do this or you haven't done it. If you don't got the markers or any kids, go steal your kids' markers if they've got the watercolor markers. Again, you still may need to dab because I don't want to over wet this, so that I can still blend some of that out as I try to blend that blue out. So just lightly tap. I'm not working the paper like a whole ton. I will tell you, I tried this with just my regular Nina Classic Crest paper, and it did kind of start peeling the paper, and I like this watercolor paper a lot, actually. It just seems to work a lot better. I was trying to be, you know, a little on the cheaper side. Try some. It works if you barely are doing anything to it. But yeah, I do like this paper. I'm gonna dab just a little, even though since I put it down here, very, very dry brush because I want some solid color to be able to put on here. And I'm just gonna put a little pink back into this, just to blend some of that back out. Some of these got a little washed out. All right, I'm almost liking where this is going. Almost done with this little piece here, I think. All right, I'm kind of digging this. I am really digging this. I love the way it looks, but man, that looks good on camera. So this I'm kind of happy with, I think. I think I'm going to leave it here. I tend to sometimes overwork things. And then I got to start over, or I just felt like I should have stopped halfway through. I'm going to stop here. Kind of like that. Let's do the middle. So I Googled daisies and different flowers just to kind of see. I decided to go with just a medium to dark brown. I used this almost black, dark brown just to do little dots, just to make it look like some seeds and things in the middle. So again, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to trace this outside. This is the medium-ish one, not the super dark one. So I'm just giving it some tracing. I'm going to blend that out. I'm kind of just using the edges again as if I'm doing Copic coloring, and blend this out. When I did my practice run, I think I did this twice just to get it a little darker than I started with, which I think I'm going to do here again. I'm going to throw some just down here on my mat and do it just almost dry, so it doesn't totally wash this out here and get it too watery. And I'm just going to throw a little extra color over this. I want some darker dimension into there. And since I kind of wanted that darker edge, I'm going to throw that up around that edge just to keep that dark. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Again, I'm not going to overdo it. I love that. I'm going to dry this so that I can tap those dots, and then this little piece is done. Give it a little dry. And I'm throwing this down to do that same method. I'm actually just going to put the little tip of the brush in the water and barely pick up anything. And I just want, this is almost dry. It's just barely even moving the color on the mat. And I'm just going to tap little dots in here just to give it that little bit of extra in there in the middle. And it'll soften because it's, it's a little wet anyway, but it just gives you just a little something. That's it. Like, that is your middle piece. That's it. So easy. If I wasn't talking, this probably would have been like 5 minutes, right? Like, hardly at all. All right, we're gonna let this dry just a little bit as we assemble the rest of this. So I have my mat, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I have my designer paper. I went with the blue versus the pink ones that I showed you out of that Recollections packet, just because I didn't want too pink. I still want a little bit of extra color, so I went with the blue, but it still has those like soft edges, darker in the middle. I was just trying to replicate what I did with my flower. All right, we're going to glue these two pieces together. Again, my mat is 4 3/4. You can see I wrote on the back here, 4 1/2 by 4 1/2. I just decided to do a square card. You can do these with A2 cards. It's not gonna be centered, which is totally fine. But I thought, I'm gonna do square. I think I've made 3 square cards in the last year or so. I hardly ever do it. And I just thought, I wanna do this with a square card and just make something a little different. All right, just center that. I hardly use tape. I know a lot of people do. I like glue so that I can move it a little bit, and I might need different tape, but it seems like my tape doesn't hold real well, and I just don't want this. I'm always so scared they're going to go in the mail and then not hold up. All right, this is your base. Before I put it on my 5x5 card, let's throw our pieces on there. So those 2 pieces. Then you need 4 small strips of paper. I'm doing black since I used the black mat. You can use whatever color you want, to be honest. It looks nice when it matches this, so it looks like this and this kind of blend together. You'll see it when we're done. Use whatever. You could use blue, you could use pink, whatever you want to do. I did 1/4 inch strips, but again, do what you want to do. For size, for dimension, for the look of the card. All right, I'm gonna do like my sample card. I'm gonna just throw this off just a little bit. Looks like I got a little bit of color right there. Let's see if I can get that off. You find my little eraser here somewhere. All right, it was sitting here. I might get that after. I'm gonna just take a little eraser and see if I can get that color off. I'm gonna go offset just a little bit again, add a diamond shape here, and then we'll throw everything else. I might come in just a little bit and then put my sentiment here. All right. So glue this little piece down. And again, this piece is 2 by 2. You can do a 3x3, 2.5 by 2.5, put it in the center if you want. All right. Just offset that just a little bit. All right, hold that down. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to start with one of your pieces and start at whichever corner you want, and you're going to go around. So line it up to the corner. We're not going to go past and do it this way like Tetris or a quilting kind of thing. Lay it right even with your flower for that first one, all right? And again, you can tape it down, glue it down, doesn't matter, whatever you normally do. All right, then glue that down and rotate. And now we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna butt them up against each other. All right, second piece, just butt that up. You wanna make sure you get this tight. I've done a practice run with this, and if you don't get that tight, you'll see the white, and it's not the same. You want this whole piece to look uniform, so it literally looks like those open and closed shutters of a camera is kind of what you want this to look like. And no surprise, these are all scraps. I didn't use scraps of this because I just bought this paper for this, and this was a new pack because I hadn't used this pack before, so this was a new piece. Dig through your scraps. This would be perfect to use with scraps, and use up some scraps as well. If you have, especially if you've got like half pieces that you haven't used. Who doesn't have a ton of black and white scraps around? I know my scrap bin for whites is quite full right now. All right. That is it. I mean, I seriously, like, it can't get any easier. I just love this. I love it. Look at this, you guys. So nice. All right, all you do, take and trim these little pieces off. I trim it even to my mat, not even to the blue. I like it, you kind of want it to blend with that black, and you'll see it at the front what I mean, because it kind of looks like one big piece that way. All right, a little bit of glue, and there you go. So now you can kind of see it's almost like it comes off of the edge too, right? All right. There is our background. We're going to do the sentiment. I'm going to use same stamp set, Speak Beautiful Everything, or Speak Beautiful Things. This little sentiment, Live Every Day with Intention. I'm going to emboss this. So we're going to take, again, scrap piece of paper. I used it for a banner card just recently. I already have my sentiment I lined up here in my MISTI. So put this down, nice and tight in the corner. Ink that up real good with Versamark. All right. I'm not putting a ton of pressure because it is kind of some small lettering and I don't want this to smush. Just barely tapping this down. I might do this twice just to get some good coverage. You know what? I did not do my embossing powder on this one. Stand by. Let me grab my powder. Hang tight. Just got to grab my powder right across my room here. And we'll powder this up on the other side because this is fine lettering and it's harder to remove it. I'll just put this tight this way. So emboss this down. Oh, you know what? All right. Let's do that one more time. That is one thing with embossing, I swear. I forget to do the powder like 9 times out of 10. It drives me, it drives me crazy. I'm like, I'll remember one day. So again, very little pressure just because of the lettering. And I'm gonna do this one more, that actually doesn't look too bad. I'm just gonna do one, I'm gonna do a really light one. Nice and tight in that corner again. Just barely lay that down just to make sure I got it. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Put that aside. While I'm thinking of it, I would greatly appreciate it, everyone, if you went and subscribed to my channel, like this video. I know I'm new. I know this sounds like a shameless plug, but I would love some followers to see what I do and follow along. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm here just for fun. I'm here just to show some of my ideas, and I watch a ton of videos, and some might be some other people's ideas. I'll give credit there. But yeah, go hit that subscribe button for me. TikTok, Instagram. All right, let's just heat that up, boss, and we'll throw it on a card. Heat that up pretty consistently across. Fine powder, really fine lettering, so you just want to make sure you get that distributed really nice, and you'll see it heat up. It goes pretty quick once you've got it heated. Boom, done. All right, I'm gonna hand cut this. I, a lot of times, will use my Fiskars cutter to cut this, but my blade is dull and it's shredding things. I usually line it up and do it evenly, just because I am not the greatest at getting straight cuts. I'm not the best fussy cutter, but let's give it a whirl. So just kind of, I'm gonna follow the letters there and try to keep the distance the same. Like so. All right, live every day with intention. I don't know. Does anybody have somebody that they could send that to right now that might need it? Or I just realized I forgot to cut my square card base, so we'll do that right now. I am doing a 5x5. You can go this way, you can go this way, whichever works. Let's see here. It's got to be 10, so we got to go this way. 5x5, so 5x10 base. I'm trying to go slow since this is by 10. All right, and we'll score that right down the middle at 5 and at 5. Yeah, I've got to get new blades. Starting to shred the edges of my paper. I think I've just been making too many cards. I've had some custom orders lately that are 50 plus cards each, and it's a lot of cutting. I usually will have a little piece of sandpaper to cheat and just get those little rough edges off. Until I get some new blades. I ran out. All right, 5x5. We've got our base we just made. So let's just glue that on. And I'm headed this way. I'm going to put my sentiment in this corner. And just glue that. I love this card. I might have to start doing some more square cards. I'm kind of digging this square. I mean, I know in the U.S. here it costs a little more to mail them, but I'm kind of digging the square. I'm gonna leave the middle empty. I think, just because I think with this greeting, it might leave a little extra for somebody to write something in. To whoever they're sending this to. So I'm gonna leave this, but you could say thinking of you in this inside, or hang in there or something, or what, you've got this, if this is, whatever might fit for who you're sending this to. All right, there's the card. Do I want to pop that up? I think I want to pop that up, but again, that looks a little crooked, right? Just like right there. Well, I hope you all like, I'm gonna pop this up. I'm gonna give that some foam squares. So I've got my little foam squares right here to the side, just in case I decided to change my mind. So we're gonna add some foam squares and pop this up. I hope you all liked what I did today. Again, I try to keep this easy for my first video, especially, and not overcomplicate it for myself and you guys. And I hope at least I gave you an idea with the Crayola markers to do some like just the hard edges and soften it out, or wash it. I mean, wash it if you want. I just hope it was something, a little something different than, I can't remember her name, Lisa. I'll put it down in the link. She does a ton of watercoloring. And I was just trying to be, you know, a little creative. All right, pop this down. Right there. All right, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna have to do some more of these. Another idea I thought is if you did some antique kind of background, put some like funky stamps, and maybe an old picture in the middle with a saying that would go with it. I was trying to dig up some old pictures of mine, but I couldn't find anything to try to do a sample before I wanted to video this. But make it kind of, you know, those funky cards where they got like old pictures from like 1930s or something or whatever. Put something like that in there. Make it off your copier so you don't ruin your own pictures, and tea stain the back, or do some, you know, distressing of the background and have an antique kind of card. I think would be cool. Then you could make a set of them. But anyway, that is my card. Hope you all like it. All right, there's my first card. I can't believe I actually did this. I'm just so excited. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. Get me some followers. I don't care how many. I just love doing this, and I just want to share with you all. Here's my card. I am so happy with it. I might actually have to make a set of these. This would be like just a great set. So thank you all for watching Manly Made Minute, and I'll see you next time.